Okay, we're recording.
Okay, good. We're calling the meeting to order. Kim, you want to do the notice?
Greenwich Township Committee Budget Meeting, March 9th, 2017, 7 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by mailing the schedule of the Township Committee to the Express Times, North Star Ledger newspaper, posting a copy on the Township Bulletin Board, and filing a copy with the Township Clerk. Kenya?
Here.
Dean?
Here.
Spencer? Marqueta?
Here.
Dorsey?
Here.
All right.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to flip-flop the agenda. We're going to let Frank go first, so we can get that out of the way, then we're going to the budget.
Yeah, this should be fast. Real quick, I think most of the committee maybe not will yet, but I did notice that at the Target parking lot, I took pictures, actually sent them to Bob. We had some front loaders that have been parked there for a while. It looks like the company is storing them there in the parking lot. Last I counted was like 7 of them. There's also some salt, a mound of salt. John, you may have seen it. I don't know if you've seen it yet. There's like 7 front loaders parked in the Target parking lot.
You mean the guys that plow the parking lot over there?
I guess. I don't know, but I don't think they need 7 front loaders to plow that parking lot. I think they're storing them for the whole area. Regardless, it doesn't matter. It's not a permitted zoning use to store front loaders in the parking lot, especially in the front. So, just wanted to bring it to the attention of the committee because I believe it's a zoning violation. I talked to Mike Finelli about it. I talked to another person here that's a zoning officer in another town, Mark Foncari. He also says it's a zoning violation. So either we're going to enforce zoning or we're not. So I believe we have to tell the zoning officer to call them and move it. At the very least, we have to consider if we think that this is something we want to allow our businesses to have their front loaders or whatever they use to remove snow. If we think that that's a use that we want to grant them, then we got to change the zoning to say something like you can park a front loader there during the snow season, but it's only for use in the parking lots in the town, and they got to be behind the mall. They shouldn't be in the front parking lot. So anyway, I just want to throw it out there. I'm looking for approval.
I'm just looking all...
Well, Frank brought that up with me, and I also had a conversation with Mike Finelli, and he really wasn't definitive one way or another, and I provided him with some information that, of course, you weren't privy to. I can't find anything in the zoning book about it. It's standard operating procedure for most snow removal companies to store equipment, particularly when bad weather initiates. They don't have a no-tolerance policy where they have to be out on it fairly quickly. And most of the malls and things of that nature are 2 inches. Now, does Mattazzaro do the Target in that whole facility, Greenwich in the middle, and the Lowe's? And this year they're also doing the Home Depot and ShopRite, which they do have a minimal amount of equipment in the back left-hand side of the ShopRite. But it's kind of normal procedure, November 15th to April 15th, to store equipment. And I genuinely, and again, the zoning book is very thick, but I saw nothing that says it's not. Now, Mike told me the only place that it may show up is in their site plan review, when they got final site plan review, if it was a provision that prevented them from keeping snow equipment there.
So when Mike told me, and I got a text from him, he told me it's not a permitted use, and he told me that the parking lots weren't made to handle that type of equipment being parked there for that long.
Well, I don't know where he's not getting the permitted use out of it, because how are you going to remove snow?
Yeah, but...
You're not trailering in those vehicles every time there's a snow in the forecast.
Right, so are those front loaders only being used for Greenwich parking lots?
Absolutely.
Okay. 7 of them we need?
Sure, I could see that, because if you'll notice the variety of sizes and shapes and plowing instruments that are on it, I can truly believe that between the ShopRite and them, that 7 loaders and 5 to 7 people are in them per snowstorm, sure.
Each machine does a different
Function, right.
I mean, one of the small...
All right.
Well,
But there's also a mound of salt there, which is definitely not a permitted
Again,
That's a hazard.
we do not have an ordinance in our book. There are some communities that have put ordinances that don't allow you to put salt on the ground, but we don't have them.
So we're allowed to pile salt anywhere? No, it can't be.
Isn't there DEP issues?
There's gotta be
No,
a DEP issue.
not on the blacktop.
Why do we spend $1 million on sheds? They're not.
We spend $1 million on the shed because it keeps the salt dry over there. Right, and the salt is stored on a blacktop area, it's not...
Now, Clinton Township does have an ordinance that does not allow salt to stay on properties. However, it was done by ordinance. There's no DEP rules and regulations for it.
There's no violation on that.
So do we want, as a town, want to at least tell them to put it behind? I mean, do we really want
Well-
front loaders parked in?
Well, I took the time to go take a look, and I think there's certainly neat enough. And the question is, what view would you rather have them obstructing? The countryside to the rear of, what would be Best Buy and Staples, because that'd be the only area that they could park in, or are they parked up front where you're obscuring the view of Route 22 and
Well,
78?
as you said, they're doing all three lots. If I had my druthers in the Lowe's parking lot up in the corner behind U.S. Gas.
Well, they could certainly, we could ask them to distribute the equipment a little bit more fairly, and I don't see a problem with that.
Well,
The only other thing too is that if you park it behind the building is not really zoned to have something of that size.
No, they have actually, behind
Same zoning.
they have
I think it's the same zoning.
they have a parking lot back there, Will, behind
Right.
Staples, that's actually,
Yeah, with it.
so they could potentially go back there, but,
Thanks.
no, there's parking there too.
You in the office tomorrow, Jim? Okay, I'll reach out to you.
But they're still against, but no, I can see sharing the equipment to all three facilities. I'm not saying that he needs to park all seven right there, keep the big, what he needs at ShopRite, keep what he needs at Lowe's, and keep everything else there. That might bring it from 5, 6 pieces of equipment down to 3 there.
I mean, on the other ones, like, the Hobby Lobby Mall and the Walmart Mall, I'm looking at my glasses.
They're parked down on the right-hand side.
Yeah, their
They're out in
equipment's
the
parked
front?
there, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the one over by Ruby Tuesdays is right there on the side by the Ruby Tuesdays.
Right. I
The
mean, to me,
Walmart
it
one's on the
seems
left.
slightly, if everybody's okay with it, then I thought I'd bring it up.
Why don't either the two of you or one of you, why don't we come back, get definitive actions, decisions of if there's anything in the zoning. If there's not, do you want to explore, do it in an ordinance?
We should have it.
How do you want it written, what do you want to do, and, at least come up with dates, at least, I hear what he's saying, that you need maybe to remove snow, but then I think we at least got to regulate that, saying, okay, it can't be here before November 15th, or...
No, right, and with that being said, I think Charlie's pushed
Maybe we
it.
should research
Right.
this, and
Yes.
this winter's over.
Right.
But maybe for next winter, we could get this in place.
Research putting something in there.
Because you actually have a bigger zoning issue with the Lowe's and the Home Depot than their snow equipment. So if you're going to challenge all of that, then that would be the time to do it, and that's their shed and trailers and such.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to maybe have John Drill take a look, see if he sees something in the ordinances,
Or some ideas from other
or
municipalities.
some ideas.
Well, I have spoke to John Drill about the trailers and the sheds, and he definitely felt there was a bit of a zoning issue. I spoke to Dave on the subject matter.
Which trailers and sheds?
Where they sell wood sheds and trailers and things.
Yeah.
They're taking parking spots that were designed for parking. There's a blueprint of how many parking spots they're supposed to have. And they're now using area for retail space, including the depot, when they take a third of their parking lot and make it into a plant.
Yep.
Dave said that was not a bone that he wanted to battle.
Okay.
Dave Barretto.
Well,
Even though he knows it was kind of a zoning thing, he said, Paul, that's a battle that I'm not going to get involved in.
Well, it's not his choice, it's the town committee.
Right.
Well, the other thing is, they're good neighbors, and they're taxpayers.
Right.
And they want to drum up business by putting those sheds there, and nobody's complaining about
Yeah,
the
but
parking. Leave dead dogs lying, or however,
Yeah, but
whatever
you know
they're
what,
saying.
Bill, that's fine, I agree with you, but either we're gonna enforce the zoning or we're not. So if we think we wanna give them that, then maybe we gotta change the zoning, that's all.
Then change the zoning.
well, I think, yeah.
But we can't have the zoning officer picking and choosing
Well, and I
what he
think
wants to
that
enforce.
comes up to number 2, that you have raised about, we need somebody to enforce zoning laws.
But we need somebody to enforce
So, why don't we
something.
look into both?
Right.
Let's find out the answers on what is law, where we want to head, let's get it done before November.
Okay.
and discuss what we're gonna do as far as the
Yeah, that's
zoning
fine.
law.
That's
And
fine.
then
That's fine. That's
should be
fine.
removed off that parking lot.
It will
I
be.
don't believe we should ever allow that.
They hit the salt out.
Did you take the salt off? I know
Mazzaro takes it
down there, but the people who were doing, and I can't remember the name of the company that did it, the ShopRite last year, they lost the contract. They did leave that salt there seasonally, all year long.
Yeah, I don't believe it should be allowed. Maybe this
And
is
it
something
shouldn't
we
be,
should have
right.
the planning board look into.
Who was it?
It was Cedar Ridge.
No.
Maybe we should throw this to the land use board.
Well,
Have them look
well, I
into
would start,
it.
let's agree on who's gonna do it.
I would say
Let's send Jonathan Drill an email, tell him what we're looking for, let him start to raise that for, you know.
Well, I can follow up with that because I'm working on a couple of things.
Follow up, and maybe you want to put it, see if we could get it on the land use board agenda. And let them take a look at it.
Because we could come up with an ordinance that's business friendly and
Yeah,
resident
that's
friendly.
fine.
Sure, we can work
Okay,
this out.
thank you. The other thing was, real quick, Tom Stewart Park, Mike finished the specs that we got to send out, to get for bid, to get some real numbers. There are two things, though, that he's holding off on, which are the specs on the pavilion and on the concession stand. The reason he's holding off on them is because we don't have an architect design them. So, Bill was at the last meeting, where the Open Space Committee is looking to get approval for Mike to hire an architect at no more than $10,000 to design the pavilion and the concession stand.
In bathrooms.
The concession stand,
Combined.
including restrooms, yeah. So, that's what we're looking for tonight, so he can go ahead and finish,
Up to $10,000, right?
yeah, up to 10,000.
And that will come out of open space.
Yeah, that'll come out of the Open Space Fund.
Are you making that as a motion?
I'd like to make it as a motion,
And
yeah.
I'll second that.
Roll call, discussion?
Discussion. Bill, remember when we were down at the League of Municipality and we talked to several people that prefabbed them,
Right.
including Castle,
Right.
Over, and Forks? Those buildings are already designed and such. I don't know that you don't need an architect to redesign that. Shouldn't we at least explore a couple of those opportunities before we hire an architect?
I was gonna say the same thing, because a lot of these prefab buildings are already
Already done.
done. Why would we spend $10,000 on an architect to design a building that's gonna have to go out for bid on the building, when you have most of these companies already have these buildings prefab ready to go? You get a lot of money to waste.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was brought up.
I did forget about that.
That
We
was
did, there's some pretty nice looking ones too that we saw down there.
That was brought
Right,
up.
right. And the one guy's right over here in Forks Township, you know, and he said, please call me up. He had a great building.
I actually brought it up in the last meeting, as to about prefab. I
Right.
forgot what their answer was and why they need the architect again.
Well, why don't we
I
can
think they
bring
should
this up in 2
rebid
weeks
it.
at our next meeting, and...
Yeah, you can put a little space in between that, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hold off on it. Let's, because I actually brought that same thing up,
I
prefab.
think, because
But they-
Zagoda's
I know
gonna
they
whack
have
you
a-
for everything.
What was that?
Zagoda's gonna whack you for everything when he makes the prefab and the
I
structure
thought
and
one of
everything
his,
else.
recommendations was a prefab. Well, let's hold off on it.
Yeah, they're already pre-designed, and most of
Well, we gotta withdraw the motion.
We're just
Or everybody votes no. Okay, let's do a roll call?
Kenya?
No.
Dean?
No.
Spencer?
No.
Marqueta?
No,
Marson?
No.
that's it.
Lee, one more quick thing.
And I'll talk to Castle, because I
Just reminded
have
of,
business with
at
his
the beginning
neighbors.
here, we discussed it, I don't know if we were finalized it, but on the future agendas, I'd like to start seeing an old business and a new business, and also, when we talk like this, I want you to keep track of it, so when we come up old business, we come back and revisit this issue, the
Yes.
zoning issue, so that we don't lose track of this, so it doesn't take us from August to
November.
January to put lights on and do them on Avenue again.
They look good, though.
Thanks.
Is this regular meetings or all meetings?
All meetings, an old business and new business, because the worst that happens is we have none, okay? But there's too much slips through the cracks when we don't do that, okay? And now we move on to the municipal budget discussion, and who's gonna be the star attraction?
I'll let the pretty one talk.
Is it open session or closed session?
Okay,
2 minutes. What, about the building, we just got a quote. I think that's what you said, right? You have a meeting together.
Oh, I thought you
You
were
wanna
here
go?
for the budget meeting. You have something you wanna talk to us about?
Yeah, well, I got a few prices and stuff there that I didn't get to Kathleen and everything.
So you need a motion to go into executive session, because we're talking contracts?
No.
No?
Oh. But so we don't need to go.
Just budgetary
Oh, okay.
prices for the budget, capital and so forth. Real quick, and this comes from the open space thing, and I sat in on the one meeting, and Frank, I think what has to happen here is the Township Committee has to make a decision who's gonna be doing the maintaining of the Town Sport Park. When this does come into, because of the budget and stuff, and not having the equipment ourselves to do it, we have to plan ahead, because where the equipment's not gonna be available and the funds ain't gonna be available, we gotta start mowing this park April 1st, 2018. We have to have that ready for this year, because machines ain't sitting on the lot and you just go. So, I think the Township Committee has a decision to make. Are we gonna just contract it out and leave it, go that way? Or is DPW gonna get back into that in the very near future and starting next year with that? And if that's the case, you gotta put that equipment either in capital this year or to take that place. We had this discussion and move that way.
Right, so we already decided that for this year, we would go out to contract.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's not gonna be that.
It's not gonna be that many months.
The best thing is
Well,
to leave it grow.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and without knowing the seat, because that was my big question, I was told by members of the Recreation that the plan was to do nothing this year.
Yes. Well, see, but we have to plan now.
Right.
Because our budget next year is
Right,
not
but-
gonna be ready.
Sure.
To get that equipment there when I need it April.
Right. Yep, no, understood on that part, but I guess this year, once it's down, it's down. You know, and then they're walking it away until next spring. Which I was a little surprised. I thought an athletic turf grass would have needed to have been maintained at least a couple of times.
I'm thinking pushing by next spring, we're gonna do more damage than we are good. I've talked to others that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that, Joe. I'm not gonna argue that. I thought that was,
Years before
yeah,
the
yeah,
next one.
It's a
yeah.
minimum year and a half before you can touch it.
Before you can use it, but to maintain it,
Right.
another ballgame.
Let's ask the auditors while we're here. If something would happen where we decided that we needed to get mowing equipment by April for him next year, and we don't have our budget set for 18 yet, is there any way, or a mechanism where we can go out in January if we wanted to or had to buy that?
One of my points to talk about tonight.
Okay.
Well, weren't we going
You
to,
comfortable with that, John?
weren't we going to put into the capital, or, a bond, that piece of equipment? Even if we don't spend it in June, we can order the equipment in November, December, and the money's still there. Yes, no?
If you have the down payment money, you can
Good,
do
okay.
that, but we'll...
We're gonna get into that tonight?
Okay.
So, duly noted, Joe. You're duly noted on that.
Think about contracting it out.
Nope, I
versus what
appreciate
you're
it.
gonna spend. It's more men, more equipment. It might just be easier to contract it out.
Might be.
It's on your, always,
Yes, it's at least worth researching.
yeah.
And it would be a lot easier, if you want all that maintenance to come out of the open space trust, it would be a lot easier.
Right.
To pay a private versus
Exactly.
And you
private.
break down the, how the machine's being used
Yep.
percentage-wise.
Yep.
Trying to get some answers.
Bill, do you have something on the building? You have any
Yes,
prices on that?
I got a estimated quote from a building outfit. They came in at 140 by 120 out back there, so much larger than what we had.
What was the original?
What we had there was 30 by 72, and that was two buildings together.
And now it's-
30 by 30, 30 by 36, two of them. Now we're going 40 foot wide, 120 feet long. He said, get what you think. They came in with an estimate of $150,000, electric another $5,000, and to do the flooring, $10 per square foot for the additional concrete and stone. Yes, $10 per square foot, that's 4-inch stone base and 6-inch fiber mesh concrete to fill the rest of the floor. And we're using the old pad to fill in the difference in the width and the length of the building.
And where's that come to?
That don't include the heat, which I'm thinking probably in the area of maybe about 10 to 12 grand, and it all depends on how we're gonna fuel that heat for that building. Diesel fuel, Morris County Co-op has a home heating oil contract on there. We can have the fuel delivered we're getting street fuel for $1.68 a gallon. I can't see the home heating oil being much more than that. Or
What about propane?
electric, like it was before.
Yeah, electrics, don't we have natural gas coming into the town complex?
There's no natural gas down here.
No.
There's propane
Sounds pretty
option,
much
but
like
that's probably
fuel
gonna be
oil is the
more-
answer.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little more
yeah.
expensive.
Not the answer, the
But
other.
that's in the Morris County code
Right.
also.
Propane
But
just
I
had
don't
that
know
big
what the
special
price
on
is.
it.
Yeah,
And
Joe-
I think they all vary because there's a difference in cost per barrel. It does go up and down a little bit. It's not set all year long.
Yeah.
So how many bays we gonna get out of that?
That's, what I got here, that's gonna be 5, but it's gonna get a lot of extra room off to the side. You asked me about wrecking the storage area, putting a wall in there, for that. I was gonna leave that cold, not having no heat, but,
So when you're done, the DPW will be out of everywhere except the last bay in the back? Because we had talked about eventually maybe making that like a locker room and stuff for you guys
that
and an
would
office for
probably
you.
be the maintenance bay where I could tear something down.
And then once the fire
we'll be
department's
gaining-
out, we'd have everything from the front all the way back to that last bay.
Yep, and then we'll be gaining where the ladder truck is, the DPW will, as the more storage. That ladder truck carport is
Oh.
heated and insulated and everything.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be gaining that, and that's 18 or 20 feet wide and 60 feet long.
Okay.
Rec needs another building?
No, I just thought that, they're always putting equipment all over the place, and if we're expanding. I said, expand that building as far as you can. It's doing now, it's the
How much
cheapest way
was
to
it for
do.
concrete? I saw you.
And then give them a little garage or a little
Did you put
storage
numbers on
area.
concrete or not?
No, I was talking to Mike about
And
that.
that will change, Will, maybe once they get...
Well, I'm saying,
Did you have the cost for the concrete in the
You don't
end?
want something up there.
How much for the
or-
concrete work do you think?
Uh,
They put
shed wise,
that-
Yeah, they are looking at doing something...
How many more square feet is it, do you know? I mean,
I
whatever
don't
that-
have a measurement.
So we're talking 150,
I like,
155
the
with
locker
the
room on the
electric,
back of the
the,
concession stand, the storage.
155 electric and
Yeah,
building.
Yeah, we can definitely look at that when we look at those prefabs.
Right.
Well, what's the pad out there right now, Joe?
What's that?
What's the size of the pad out there right now?
72 by 30.
72 by 30.
Told him, get us
Well, one, yeah, then
Examples.
2100.
120 by
Concession on the-
40.
I'll go look.
Yep.
10 square.
He's gonna bring them, he's gonna get...
we
some-
already, we're gonna need 10, at least 10 for heat, so we're up to 165.
Maybe 195.
You're coming in
When I
one,
came in when we had the first budget meeting, I said about $200,000.
that's a big building and a lot of extra space for, I don't think too bad of a price, but.
How much is that covered by insurance?
We'll have to, we have some money there. I don't know if they're just gonna break it down to cover what was existing, in that part. Like I said, we did get some money, but we didn't get all the money. And part of our insurance did say replacement of whatever we
Right.
had there, full replacement, because the cost changed. So they gave us a cash value, and then there's the replacement cost, almost like the fire tanker.
Right.
It was valued at this, but it cost
Right.
this to replace it, they filled it in.
So, Tom, will we have to go out,
Gap insurance.
uh,
Gap insurance.
we have to bond first, and then once we get the money, how does that work?
They'll have to go out to bid.
Well, you'll have to have a mechanism to spend the money, which will probably be a bond ordinance.
Okay.
And the bond ordinance will tell us how we're going to fund the project. Once you have the bond ordinance in place, after it has its hearing and it gets adopted, you have your estoppel period, and you go out and get your bids. So at that point, the funding's in place, the ability to spend the money's in place, now you gotta go find somebody to spend the money with.
Joe, is that a Morton-type building?
Yes, that's Conestoga, the same as.
Okay.
So I guess what we need for Kathleen and for yours is the exact price of the construction and the answer from the insurance company what they're gonna pay us. Right? That's the two figures you need to figure out the rest for us, right?
Well, I know the insurance ain't going to give us no money until it's built. They back.
Well, that's why I've been
They
bonding.
gotta give us some idea of what.
Yeah, but he can say, you're gonna give him a thing saying, hey, PPC manufacturing is gonna build it for $175,000. What are you paying? So then,
We talked to, who was it, Steve, Kim? We can,
I mean, at least ballpark, so they have something to work with.
You're not talking about an overly big bond.
No.
Right, so if you're gonna bond for 200,
Yeah, but they're talking about other equipment
There's other-
too.
Yeah, you gotta do everything together,
That's what
right?
I'm here for too.
But as your insurance proceeds come in, see those bond anticipation of your 10-year notes, they'll roll forward year after year, and you can pay them off, as you're paying them down. If you're getting insurance proceeds back, you could set that money aside to just pay the debt service, and take that money into your budget and pay off 1 year, you get a $35,000 check, pay $35,000 off on the bond. So whatever you're getting back, you put aside and pay those off.
Do we know what the costs are for, like, let's say you want to get, if the town decided to get a bond for the rest of the park? What does it cost to do something like that?
I was asked to put something together, and I did have it all.
Oh, you do?
So we're gonna get into that.
Like, I'm assuming Bill asked
A
you.
little bit.
Yeah, I kinda asked. Okay,
So,
you got one more thing,
The
Joe?
fire department, you asked me to get a more refined figure on the fire truck,
Mhm.
and the figure I have is at 616,800. And, the chief's vehicle, I've been out of, I was off a little bit, we're at $86,000. I checked, Tahoes, are going at $72,000 being converted into chief's vehicle. I'm doing a pickup truck doing the conversion, and it's $86,000. Tahoe is basically like the Expedition.
Right.
Now,
Mhm.
and they cost $72,000, between there and $75,000.
And you're doing a pickup truck because there's more
I think we get more, years out of it.
years out of it?
I'm at 13 years on that, I'm hoping to get 18 to 20 out of the pickup truck, and a little more, be able to be a little more durable.
How old you gonna be in 20 years?
What's that?
How old you gonna be in 20 years?
I'm thinking of the chief, but
The future chief,
itself, not
yeah.
me.
And what was the number before that?
I estimate the command vehicle $80,000,
Right, no, I thought you gave another.
$650 for the engine.
616,000 for
That
an
was
engine.
616.
616.
Oh, you did ask me, chassis payment, midway through the build, will save the town $11,000, and the old engine trade-in is $10,000. So that would be $21,000 coming back.
Off of that 616 or off of the 650?
Off
That's
the 616,
off of the 616.
be about
570.
$595.
Only $10,000 for that 20-year-old truck, huh?
That's it. Because don't have air conditioning, it has a steel water tank instead of, a plastic one. A lot of things that were new, just coming out and weren't tested when that truck was built back in 1992.
Okay.
Those
Okay,
are the three things I had.
okay. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. I
Yep.
have a meeting next week.
Have a good night, thanks.
You too.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
You said 86,000 for that truck?
Yeah.
Okay, now who's up?
Okay. If you remember back to last year we had a tax increase of 2 cents. A couple things we did in the prior year was we took $100,000 out of the deferred school tax, which if we want to get back to that conversation later on, we can. And you also took $250,000 out of the deferred school tax to help balance the budget. $250 went towards roads, and the $100 went towards balancing your budget even with the 2-cent tax increase. Okay, so that's a little recap of where you were at.
Now, before you go any further, with the merger, if this merger goes through, does that affect what we did
If the merger goes through,
between Bloomsbury and Greenwich?
that's a school district issue, and that has
Nothing to do with what
no
we...
impact on what
Okay,
we're doing here tonight.
okay, good.
In fact, I went through a good amount of that document, and there was one paragraph that was all in italics. I don't know if you got to that one or not. What it said basically is, we can't tell whether or not Greenwich is going to pay more or Bloomsbury is going to pay more until the budget's actually put together for the two schools and we'll determine at that point.
What's that, Nancy Pelosi? We gotta pass it first? Then
Yeah,
can
we
see
gotta
what's in
pass it before we see what happens.
Before we can
It's
understand it,
probably
yeah.
about 20 pages back from the beginning.
From the beginning?
It's all italic paragraph, so
So the bill's point, though, doesn't affect the use of the deferred tax.
not at all. Not at all. In fact, I think just by what's going to happen is the school budget is going to increase because you're going to bring kids in, there's going to be costs associated, and the school budget's going to go up, which means you're going to be paying into it, they'll be paying into it, but if it affects you, it can only really affect you in a positive way because the amount of taxation, I think costs are going to go up no matter what, on both sides. Just my amateur opinion.
You mean a positive way by costing more, not a
But
positive effect
but
on
it'll
us?
be positive for you as far as the deferred school tax.
It'll be negative for the taxpayer because the school tax will go up.
Okay, that's, yeah. That's
Not a good thing for the town.
No, which this group still takes heat for regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
Always will.
Exactly, right.
Whatsoever. So where you ended last year, you had a decent year. You were pretty much flat when it came to fund balance. I think you were about 16,000 lower in total than where you were in the prior year. Pretty good. It's really, everybody wants to have a surplus, but you're there. You're right where you need to be. We kind of hoped that we would recover the exact same amount that we put in, and you were there. So we're happy with the way your year ended. With that said, you have the budget in front of you tonight. Kathleen has given me the numbers. I ran everything through. Right now, you are currently above the cap levels, for both cap levels. The state has two caps that you have to be in compliance with. There's an expenditure cap, and there's a tax levy cap. And you're currently about $41,000 over both of them. $38,000 over one, $41,000 over the other. So to be in compliance with state law, first thing you have to do tonight is come up with about $41,000 worth of cuts within your budget. Okay. One thing that's on here that's affecting your budget from last year in a negative way is the $95,000 emergency that you had. You had a $95,000 police emergency, legal fees associated, and Chief Hummer's reinstatement. So you had an emergency pass during 2016. You added it to the budget then. This year you have to raise it. So now we're putting it on the budget for the taxpayers for your fund balance or however you're going to pay that off. That's already factored in. There were a couple of line items that saw some bigger increases. Police alone was up. Police salaries were up $100 and something $1,000. So there's not that many huge centers where you can say, all right, we're going right here to cut. Keep that in mind as you go.
And this police, is this including the potential for their contract settlement?
Well,
Police contract.
I put in exactly what Hummer gave us. The settle, you're saying all the retro pay?
Retro pay, right.
I have in the 60,000 left in the 16 budget, which I'm hoping that you get this contract settled, and I can then charge back the retro to that line.
And with their retro, will that also affect the different insurances too? Because like workman's comp's based on salary. So if we're going back 2 or 3 years on their salary, will there be some like workman's comp numbers that get added to that we're not looking at, or?
I don't think for this year's budget, because the numbers are the numbers. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying we have the 60,000 to pay the back pay for the police contract should be settled for last year?
They haven't, they're going back to 14, 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is I have 60 grand left from 16. I want to use that, because where else am I going to get it anyway?
Correct.
So I think we're okay there.
The first 1 or 2 years is zeros anyway, so.
So, did you ever run the numbers with the anticipated contract? Is that what the figure's gonna be, about 60,000 if they get them back pay?
No, I don't know, because, I never really knew the exact number, and to go through all of that, that's going to be daunting. So I'd like to know exactly what it is before I start that project.
Okay, you don't wanna do it twice.
Yeah, that's huge.
One of the things Kathleen touched on is there's still 60,000 left over in there in police from last year. And so if if you owe back pay for 2016, you charge it against last year's budget. You
Right.
still have the ability to do that through the end of this year. And then whatever is not spent lapses back to surplus. So, as your budget stands right now, you're gonna have to cut the 41. Right now, there's a 1.7 cent increase to the tax rate. But when you cut that 41,000 out, you're gonna be at a penny even. Okay, so it'll be an increase of a penny.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we still have options on the table once we get to that point. If you want to cut it further and reduce that penny further, that half a cent, you're well within your, we can get it down to zero if we have to. I will caution you that, my best run towns do a little increase every year. So with that in mind, last year you took the hit. Writing was on the wall. We didn't increase taxes for a long time, or it was very minimal. And then last year we had to go up to 2 cents to get your budget even. All right, you don't have a spending problem. You have more of a revenue problem. You don't have these big amounts of revenue coming into your account. So once that 41's cut out, it'll be down to a penny. The one thing that this budget does not address is the inclusion of capital improvement fund money. All right, that's the money that goes in and it becomes down payment money for any of the ordinances that you want to pass, any of the work that you want to do. Last year, we had $100,000 in there, in the capital improvement fund, as an increase to it that year. We're down to about $10,000 within that fund as of December 31st, 16. So my advice to you would be to bring another $100,000 back into that.
That's not on the
That's not, we didn't put that, we want that for discussion tonight, so what you want to do. Now, if you put the $100,000 in there, I can increase the deferred school tax, take the $100,000 out, and have no impact on taxes whatsoever. So you'll have the $250 coming out, you'll have the $100 coming out. All right, so it'll be another $350,000. You still have over $3 million available to defer. So if you took the $350 and moved it over, you'll have no impact on taxes whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think unlike last year, well, this is like a one-time thing. It's not a recurring expense, which I think is, if you're going to take money from the deferred school tax, it should be like a one-time payment, not for something, we have an expense and we can't handle it and that expense doesn't go away, but we're going to use the deferred school tax for it. If it's a one-time thing, I think it's an appropriate use,
Right.
so.
Right.
The two things that I would use that on, with the position that you're in,
Mhm.
one is, like you said, one-time expenses, and two is if your back is really up against the wall and you need to go to it,
Mhm.
you go to it.
Right.
All right, you don't just bring it in to lower taxes and live off that for the next however many years until it's depleted, and then you have no options after that. So one-time expenses and when you're really up against it.
Now, would this be considered a one-time expense, putting that money in?
Well,
Not really, because you want that balance every year,
well,
right?
if you're gonna put $100,000 in, we talked about this with sewer, we wanna build up the sewer capital improvement fund, and we wanna keep building that up, and we're building that to the tune of $100,000 for this year, and then 50. You would have to have a capital plan in place and see what your capital needs are gonna be going down the line. And if you project that in 2018, we're not buying anything this year, there's no big ticket items out there, that's when you can pull back a little bit. Would I bring it down to zero? No. I bring it down half, or maybe 25,000, because the down payment has to be 5%. So $100,000 will get you $2 million. If you had to go out and bond for something, substantial. So $100,000 in there is a pretty good lump of money, and, you'll be up to 110 at that point.
Okay.
A rainy day fund.
That's another thing I want to talk about, a rainy day fund. What I try to do with my clients is I try to get them to, when they have some money, or they have the ability to put some money into different pots. Right now, you have no money put aside for accumulated absence payout. There is a trust fund for that, where you can start swirling a little bit of money each year in the budget, something minimal, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, just to put it away, so that when people begin to retire and leave and they're entitled to payout for their sick time, you don't have to hit the budget in any particular year. It doesn't put any strain on your budget. You go straight to the trust fund, pay them out of the trust fund, and be done with it. So these are the things that, we try to get you set up for that rainy day, and then once it starts raining, you have the money and the means to do it, so that it doesn't impact your budget. So, Just food for thought to throw out.
So we're gonna put 41,000 just to be legal. But we know we're gonna have some expense, at least in my department, the police department, with the back pay. I don't know how much that's gonna come out to be.
You really think it's gonna be more than 60?
No,
I'm
it's
hoping not.
gonna be less than 60. It should be less than 60.
Yeah, I would think.
Because 2% of the general raises, it should only be,
What
less
was
than
the 16
$2,000 a
salary?
year.
What was the
Total spent,
total spent on just,
993, I believe, 993,000.
so let's say $1 million. So 2% of that is 20,000, off the top of my head? Okay.
We should be just
Fine,
short of
okay.
60,000 with everything.
So we're back to, if we cut 41, we're legal and at 1.7%.
No, at 1,
31, you're down to 1.
1,
Oh, one.
down to 1, yeah.
So, the 95,000 for the police, what was the police chief? How much?
The Hummer litigation?
Yeah, what was, how much was that?
95.
It's 95,000. That impacts you in two ways. One, you have to raise it in the budget, and two, you can't bring the surplus that you use, has to be less than 95,000.
You remember when, we talked about that when we did this, we said basically we're starting off next year at 95,000.
Not, or actually, I thought it was even a little bit bigger than that,
Now-
but yeah.
But next
So
year,
How many
that goes
cops
away,
does that include in the budget to
there's
be hired?
95,000 out of your budget.
Now,
How many more this year?
this other fund for like buying people, paying people off if they
I don't
leave,
think it was,
is
I
that
don't think it was free.
gotta be in this budget, or can that
It doesn't have to, it's an option that
Well, I'm
you
saying
have
is,
that I'd like to see you at least explore and consider.
I think I'm
Put
two
money
guys.
aside ain't the worst thing in the world. And
Right.
You're not in a bad, you're not in a horrible position. You're actually in a good position, so.
that's the first time we've heard that.
But does the budget included the 2 new police officers being hired?
Yeah, that's, compared to where we
Well,
were.
you're good.
You have 2 in there?
Do we have 2 new police officers in that budget?
Yeah.
So he,
Yeah,
He used-
yeah,
he used
so,
the numbers.
but-
And that includes
but
the
we're
court
also
side for
getting-
DPW, right?
yeah, I took their numbers straight
So
up.
she took
So I didn't
exactly
look at all
what, she
that.
basically took
exactly
exactly
what they gave
asked
us,
for.
Right.
which
And we
was,
already cut out like the $120,000 mowing, we did that the night we talked about it, right? I guess not in there, right, that $120,000 for that mower that we talked about?
That would have been part of the bond.
That was part of the
That was part
bond.
of, okay.
That wasn't part of.
Yeah, no, not part of this.
I'm just, and I asked the chief this question, we just hired 2 police officers.
Right.
We're looking to hire 2 more this year? Does it have to be 2?
Well, that's what he's
I mean,
asking.
why would it be nice? I
That's
mean,
what we
we-
discussed.
I'm assuming
Still,
that,
we should be at like around 14, you know, if you look at the study back from
but we're
2007.
going from, how many did we have 2 years ago? How many officers?
They were down to a low of 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Right, and now we're at,
11.
11.
2 more go to 13.
so we had 2 years ago, we had 8 or 9, town kind of survived, and now we're gonna try to go up another 4 in 2 years?
Town kind
Like
of
an overtime
survived.
fine?
Yeah, but, yeah, I was gonna say, the chief touched on that, he said that, like, one guy's almost gonna be paid for by, through the savings and overtime.
All right, just want, do we,
Now, this
my
grant-
question is, do we need 2? That's all. I just,
There's that safe cop grant that's coming up, that he said, that we
He mentioned
should
that.
get an award on that. Hold on.
and I
No,
don't,
Mooney wants to talk.
Well, I'm not gonna touch on that, if Kathleen brought that one up, but with more officers, I would think that that would generate more tickets, which should generate more court revenue, because your court revenue has been
Oh, he's here. Yeah.
declining. And, I mean, 2 years ago, you had 150,000. This past year, you got 45,000.
And let me ask you, did we budget that based on a full year's salary? Because we won't be hiring probably until July anyway.
Yeah.
So can we cut some of
That's
this,
the number
so we
from
can
what
cut
you
some of these
got.
figures in half?
Right, right.
Yep.
well, he gave a full year, or he based it on?
He
I mean, he
gave
gave you a full year.
Oh, so you
That's how
could
we
cut
always
some of
do
that
it.
in half.
So if we could even say we can't hire until July 1st, which would save us.
That'll handle your
I
40.
don't know where you're at
Easily.
with the
Yes, easily.
secretary, but she's 20,000 now, and he proposed 40, I think,
Yeah,
to make her
yeah,
full-time, so
yep.
there's 20. I don't know where you're going with that.
That includes benefits, or no?
Well, if you hire...
If you go full-time?
No, I don't have that in there.
You don't have that in there?
Yeah.
I thought at the time he said she would decline,
Yeah, her husband probably gets some, you know, he has to.
but I don't know if we changed
So
the
the,
circumstance. we can
the
live
safe
with it.
cop grant, does that pay 100% for 3 years?
I think 75-25.
75-25? So he said that we have a good shot at that, but that has not come out yet. I think he said in April and May that comes out.
Here's July.
July?
Yeah.
So we
Well-
can recoup.
One thing good about it, if we wait until July, when it saves a half year of the salaries.
So it's really equivalent to one salary.
All the academies will be, graduating in July, so it'd be a good time to ask for applications.
Yeah, I think if we
I think we should look into at least that we already know a quarter year done for the DPW guy. We always push that back to July, or even September in anticipation of snow season.
Mhm.
I think he wants them by June for grass cutting season too, but we can go.
Summer, he needs it for, summer maintenance.
Well, we did already approve that kid that worked summers for, right? That internship or whatever?
That's only one day.
Yeah, I think that was only one day a week, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't...
Like Monday.
But if we're not taking on the park right now, I'd really like to hear Joe say what one more full-timer is really going to do for him,
Yeah.
you know?
I did want to let you know, too, it was meant, I think Bill brought it up, so I threw it in here. We took recreation from 1,000 to 10. I wasn't really sure why. but-
Yeah, I want to talk
Well, that
about
was
that,
a
too.
conversation we had. We
Yeah,
all seemed to
I-
be pretty okay with that at the time.
No, he just threw it out there. I don't think we had any
What
conversation.
about
on it.
what? $10,000 is a big jump.
Yeah, I mean, we're giving them, how much money, I mean, we are being very generous with a park, you know?
Well,
To go from 1 to 10 in 1 year,
Well, I understand that, but they were basing it based on the number that the municipalities around us give, you know, just in a budget form,
Right.
you know, versus 1,000. You know, Lopat's given 14, Pohat was 9, Alpha was 7.
You might want to recoup about Lopat, because Lopat, the town and the recreation department just split. And the town just told the recreation department that they're now responsible to maintaining all the athletic fields at the new park. So, the money,
Recreation's supposed to-
we're taking on, we're,
How much?
50.
listen, the town's taking on maintenance of the new park. The town's providing millions of dollars, over $1 million for the new park. We are being very generous to the
No,
rec.
I understand that, but
Huh?
yeah, and the insurance and all that. No, I do understand that,
I'm
but
not-
I understand that's part of their overall budget, but there's still not truly cash for them. You know, it's all in land value and maintenance value. No, and I'm just pointing, you know, because I thought, you know, I'm not saying I didn't think 10 grand was horrible or anything.
Are Greenwich residents the only people that are gonna be able to use it?
No,
no, I'm talking about...
Anybody can...
Green Acres. It's open to anybody in the state, or out of state even, I think.
That was at Green Acres when you were using the open space trust.
Can you
Well, the
use it for Green
original
Acres?
land purchase was Green Acres.
That's interesting.
Because what's to prevent the wear and tear on that field from getting out of control?
Well, that has always been Jim Adams used to throw that out and everything. And again, knowing the people at Lopakon, I know people at White Township, and even, you're not getting droves and droves of people coming from anywhere to use your system.
You're not getting the...
Washington Township put a beautiful park in, and it gets worn out because so many people come, and it's a multi-use park. The lacrosse teams come there to practice from out of the area.
How do you do, somebody has to do the scheduling for, right? I mean,
There's gotta be something.
Greenwich Rec's gotta be able to have first ops at it, right? I mean, you wouldn't build a field and then say somebody from Somerset County decides to say, oh, on Sunday we're coming up to play lacrosse, and then you gotta cancel your practice.
Yeah.
So there gotta be a way to,
Yeah, I mean, you can have travel soccer teams start to schedule it.
That's right.
You would never know. I mean, just think of the wear and tear on the field.
Well, I know, like, with the other, with Lopat, I'm on the rec stuff, and if teams want to use it, they have to contact for scheduling before they can even use it.
Do they get charged?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say then, yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a maintenance fee, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's gonna use that.
Yeah, like the Outlaw...
And I don't really have an issue with that.
That's what I was kind of...
Sure, no, no,
We get $500 for the Outlaw practice on the field.
right.
well, let's,
But that's something we can talk to afterwards,
you got
right?
your pencil going, let's start deducting at least a half year's salary from the 2 police and from the 1 DPW guy. That's a start. Okay, let's at least start there.
So
Well, that just came up with your 40 grand.
What are we doing with this?
So the police alone
What are we doing with the rec?
Yeah, but I-
50, right?
Is there anything else we can cut? I mean, you know, let's...
Well, I have a request.
Well, I'd like to, I would need to start the review, right, right. Yeah.
Let's,
And with that being said, I'd like to throw in too that, and I agree that we need to be, and even if we cut the 40 grand, 1.7, I'm kind of okay with that because we almost get a certain free pass. You know, there'll be people that'll rumble, I don't think they'll be, you know, up in arms, but the county kind of screwed us over, you know, and
oh, we lost the pen.
we lost $66,000 a year on property.
Not yet.
Well, but it's coming. We're paying litigation from a committee from 2 years ago, and there's certainly some blame that can be passed on there. And this 1.7 puts just a little bit more back in the bank.
I was gonna say too, but don't we have upcoming?
Well, you got, so, yeah, right, absolutely, right, there's some upcoming stuff.
I'm okay at 1.
Yeah,
Well, by cutting 40, you'll
Yeah.
be down to 1.
Yeah.
I'm okay with 1, but, I mean,
I think you already found 4 easily, so.
everybody just go with that? This sounds too easy.
I mean, we got,
No, but,
Have money, you solve
Well,
the problem.
When you have us.
Right. Well, then I'm gonna throw, and without knowing if we're thinking about hiring a code enforcement, zoning enforcement, I mean, I don't think it's a big budget, but let's say you gotta stick $5,000 away for that. And I don't think it's gonna be anywhere near that.
I think, once we know the figures,
Right.
I think we should at least try to throw some money into,
I want the rainy day fund.
No, the rainy day fund too,
Yeah.
and actually,
And even if it's $5,000 like you said.
And one of the other thoughts, and again, I know this is pre-committees and stuff like that, and I don't know that we'll ever genuinely replace it, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to take the $300,000 that Jim and Elaine use as a one-time ad, and maybe just throw some of that back into that fund?
On the sewer fund?
The sewer fund, just a little, I mean, you're never going to be able to because 4 years from now, this committee's going to be different. But just in a goodwill gesture, get some money back into that fund too?
The way that I would do that, if I was gonna advise you on doing that,
put it in the capital.
is to start charging more salary, more time, more expense over to sewer, taking it out of your current fund budget and moving it over there.
State will flag.
The state will look at that.
Well, you'd said so, well, I didn't know how you could do it, but again,
He's just trying to do a good faith.
we're trying to do a good faith act.
Which is a great gesture, but I did talk to a few people about that, and the way they saw it was, the money's gone, and if you're gonna put it back and it's gonna raise our general fund taxes, it doesn't really help much, because you're raising their taxes anyway.
It's gonna lower everybody in town. If you take some of her salary and move it into sewer, that's less money in her line item that you're gonna have to raise the taxes. But it'll bring it over to sewer, where it'll get charged back, and it'll go, you have a healthy fund balance still, but that fund balance is gonna start to...
No, I don't think that was what Paul was saying. He was saying, take some,
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
he was just saying replenish the money that previous committees took from the sewer trust fund. That's what he was
I'll go the
saying.
other way with that, yeah.
Right, when I was saying is by doing that, if it increases taxes, it doesn't really benefit.
Well, it does and it doesn't. What it does is it rectifies the mistake that took place 4 years ago, because everybody saved getting their taxes raised then by doing that. So it really doesn't change things, it just put it off 4 years, and if it's...
It didn't raise anybody's taxes, though.
No, it didn't, but no, that's exactly right, it didn't raise anybody's, it kept it level, and that was just a one-time ad. So it did save a tax increase 4 years ago. But now, if there's a little wiggle room and a little money, put it back to, just trying to right wrongs, that's all.
Yeah, but...
We're never going to get it all back.
I agree, it's a good gesture.
I understand that, it's 4 years ago, all right? We're trying to right a wrong from 4 years ago. Well, you better start preparing on what's going on today, because we got a $600,000 fire truck and everything else.
No, I understand.
So-
I think the way we planned out the sewer fund, I think the sewer fund is pretty solid right now.
Yeah.
Well, my
That
thought
that was a nice gesture.
Well, my thought too, Frank, and I know that you're thinking it's pretty solid, but I still think you boost your sewer prices this year like 1.5%, or the residents have told me that normally when they get an increase, and they haven't been increased now in 4 or 5 years, that it was usually $5 a quarter.
You would know that.
Back that far.
Right, so my thought is,
Current, not-
instead of letting, it's still going to dwindle down, but if we can dwindle it down over 10 years instead of 5 years, 1.5% or $5 a quarter right now is not a bad gig. I mean, Raritan Township, I'm just going to throw out Raritan Township right now, their sewer rate is $447 a quarter. We're at $137 a quarter.
$137.50.
Right, okay, so, is $142.50 a bad deal right now, and does that slow down the depreciation of that fund?
Where is that high?
Oh, no, I got that right from the tax assessor. And so, if you start,
I live there.
Listen, the other option is, if you want to do that, you can take it from, could we take it from the deferred tax and put it in the sewer trust? No.
Because the state allows you, they want you to take the fund balance from all of these other funds that you have and use them in your current fund so that you're reducing taxes as much as possible. So 4 years ago, when they did that, they really did nothing wrong.
No, I understand they did nothing wrong.
Well, you know, we're calling it right and wrong, but what they did was exactly what the state wanted them to do. Now, the state has a problem with you taking it out of current and making
putting it back.
unless they're in deficit mode.
Right.
All right, if you're in deficit mode, then you have to be funded through the current fund. So it's a different
Well, I
story.
think-
But you're sitting on some good money in sewer.
So legally, what you're saying is correct, but I think what Paul is saying is ethically, you double taxed people in the sewer fund to lower the tax rate for the, you subsidized everybody else in town on the backs of the sewer people, and that's what he was getting at, so.
Thanks, I'm
And you have
so whatever, but
700,000.
Hey, I have Belvedere, and 98% of the customers in Belvedere are also taxpayers. So when you take it from sewer to pay tax,
Then it's not a big deal, yeah.
one pocket.
Right, well, in this community, it's not
It's
that
not.
number though, right?
It's a big
It's a big, right,
disparity,
right.
so.
I completely agree, but to get that back, and I said before, I said, your numbers are coming in good, and I prefaced it, I said, they're not
That's
great.
right, yeah.
So to start giving back when it's just good, I
No,
pull the reins
you-
back on that, but I understand.
Okay, no, well, I'm just throwing it out there,
No,
it's just
that
thoughts.
was a good thought, and Bill had actually brought that up in the past too. And if we were financially in maybe a better situation, maybe we'd do that.
Maybe there's something we can do and we'll
Yeah.
figure out.
yeah.
Speaking of sewer, I got a request from Bonnie. A quarter of her time is spent on sewer, and she would like to see a salary increase, another $5,000. I don't think going from 20 to 25,000.
Wait a minute.
She's putting in more time as well. She's probably here at, 3 or 4 hours,
I
More.
100% agree. I talked to Bonnie too, and I guess when she started here, it was just she was just taxed, and then the sewer kind of got dumped on her too, but she wasn't given any extra money
She's
for
not getting
it.
paid
And I
out.
have,
It's not hourly?
I have no problems with that, but if we're gonna clean things up in the past, can we at least make her, a full-time or a full employee, because she hasn't been permanently appointed by us either.
right. I mean, we need
We
to,
can talk about that one.
so can you coordinate that with, the attorney?
Who was doing the, Kathleen, who was doing
An ordinance,
the
a
sewer
motion,
taxes
or a
previous?
Put it on next meeting.
Is she not hourly, maybe?
Kim, who you
She's not
Yes,
hourly?
she's a flat salary.
She's a flat salary, but we never officially
But we never
appointed her.
actually, she's only brought in like as a
Just per diem. or
temporary or whatever, and we never really appointed her. By law, I think we'll have to be appointed.
She has a 3-year contract term, I think.
Good CFO.
Yeah.
CFO did so.
I'll tell you right
Okay.
now.
You mean, you've been getting away with that? Let's
So why don't we
So for my
get,
stupidity sake, we're gonna take out of the
Still
budget
didn't tell me
the
what-
half-year salaries for the 2 police officers.
And
well, Kathleen's got...
what is the salary?
She's got, it's like 49,000 plus whatever pensions and stuff is.
So just salary alone at one officer is like 50,000.
50,000.
So.
There it is.
Half of the increase for the secretary would be 10,000. About.
Are you gonna increase her?
We're gonna make her full-time?
We're gonna
Well,
make her
if
full-time?
we're gonna do it, I'm just saying, but how do you wanna do it?
And
I'm just coming up, if you're gonna take it as is,
Did the chief say she wanted her full-time?
well, he put it in the budget, that's what he asked.
Okay, all right,
I'm not saying we have to give it.
right.
I'm just saying, at this point, if we're gonna go with a half year on everything, it's 50,000, say, for the police, and 10,000 for the secretary, that's 60,000 taken out. You also got the 4th guy at DPW, which will be down to 50%. If you're gonna hire him. I'm not saying hire you,
Oh,
I'm
you're
just
gonna get us down to
talking...
zero. Keep going. Keep going.
That I don't want you to do,
Huh?
because I want to keep socking money into surplus. And
All
the
right.
only way to do that is to not spend what we're budgeting.
No, and I agree, you want to put money into
Is
the
there any
surplus.
large items in DPW that we said we would buy that we don't have to do other than that lawnmower?
Well, that's a capital,
That's
yeah.
fine.
That's
Okay, yeah,
capital.
that's fine. Okay, I think
So taking 50,
We're putting 100 in, right?
But we want, are we in agreement when I throw like $5,000 into that rainy day fund?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm in agreement as long as we're at one.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm good with that.
Did we settle on the rec? I know we brought the rec up.
Well, getting back to the rec, they spent over the last 3 years, 6,000 just in dirt out of their money on small fields and fields that they don't own, so, he brought that up the other day, so I don't have a problem.
You wanna cut it from the 10 to the 5 and use the 5 for the rainy day fund, and then you still have 60 cut with the salaries that we talked about?
We can do that.
I mean, they're at one, we give them 5, and we give them a park. How's that? Is that a good deal?
That's a good.
And then that 5 we saved is to be used for that rainy day fund, so we're still at $60,000 cut.
So they were getting 1,000, so now we're gonna give them 6,000 this year.
We never gave,
Oh.
let me back up. When I inherited the 2013 budget, there was no OE. They were given nothing.
For what?
So
Thank you.
when I was creating your 16 budget, I put in $1,000 just to have that line item open.
Oh, okay.
It's not like you were ever making a contribution to that.
Awesome.
Oh, did they never got that 1,000?
No, because
Oh.
you never
Okay.
gave them a contribution. They
Okay.
put in-
So they're going from 0 to 5.
Right, but our budget's only going from 1 to 5, so it's only
Exactly.
4,000.
Exactly.
So put 5 instead of the 1 on it.
Did they ever get their 501c3?
Now,
I think that's been done out of the other term. Yeah, I think that's,
Time out,
What?
time out.
okay.
They're a 501c3?
They were supposed to get their 501c3. I don't know if they got it or not.
well, that's a totally different.
Yeah, they were supposed to do
No,
that.
no, no, we're not giving that money to the club, we're giving it to the recreation,
I don't know.
committee that's here.
I've never
No,
done
that's
that.
separate.
No.
That's separate. They have a recreation association.
Yeah.
This is a recreation commission. Okay, there's 2 separate entities going. There's an association, and then there's the commission. The association is their fundraising aspect, and then the commission. So we've
What?
never given them a
So
contribution.
the commission falls under
Under
control
us.
of the town?
Yes.
Right, they're appointed by the town.
Okay.
We've never given them a contribution. What we do is they submit bills, and we pay them.
I've never done that.
What?
Not one bill has ever been submitted to me. It's
All the purchase orders
But
are
it all
coming
comes
out
out of
of
the trust fund.
Right, out of their accounts. We don't
Out of
use
the
township funds.
commission's trust fund?
Yes, we
Okay.
don't use township funds to pay the bills.
Right, that other club, or whatever you wanna
If
call it.
you wanted to put
they're
another
buying-
1,500 to give them, is the tax collector assistant is paid an hourly rate to work here, and I think she's doing their purchase orders during that time.
$1,500.
They're gonna take the $1,500 stipend we give them and give them to that to use however they see fit too.
My question is this: how much is in the recreation trust fund?
50,000.
Why are we putting $5,000 in there?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Bill Blair.
Deal with them.
And plus, they still have to collect
So they
fees.
already got 50,000 sitting there?
Yeah, but you know what, that might be wiped out with,
In 1 year,
well, how much they take in every year for all their fees and their
from the 15 and 16 that they've had about, they keep about 40 to 50 grand.
but our PO is probably equal 40 or 50 grand, right? Don't we wipe that out?
No.
No.
We have receipts for the Recreation Commission of $65,000 in 2016. We have disbursements of $63,000. They went up $2,000 from the prior year.
Which brings them.
So they're making money.
42,254 in here.
So how much is in that account?
42,000.
42,000.
So,
Not 50, but
The
42.
receipts are probably the registration fees.
Right.
And all, everything.
Yeah, it's gonna go up and down with fees and registration
Right.
and things, but why are
But
we
they're
giving
bringing in
$5,000?
with their spending.
Okay, so, I'll ask them to give me, the rationale,
Now, if they want to pass a savings on to the kids and the parents and reduce the fees, that's when you can bring in 5,000
Okay.
in the budget or whatnot to help.
Then that gets
subsidize
back
it.
to, everybody doesn't use it, you give them a tax break to, like,
All right, so don't put the 5.
That's a monster voting block, that
Yeah,
group,
and I
though,
don't
a
even
nice
mind giving it to
gesture.
them, but I'm just saying,
Would be
when we
nice.
get into that, that's, so, the elderly people, the senior citizens without kids are gonna say,
Just putting your thoughts out there for you to think about. And I can make the
Put the
decision.
5 in the rainy day fund and bank it, so that way we have it, and then if we need it for a wreck or whatever, we can go from there.
So I don't think $5,000 is gonna make or break us.
No.
It's a good gesture, put it in there. They asked for 10, we're giving them 5.
I'm good with
It's a
the
good-
5.
I'm good with 5.
I'm not worried about cutting it,
But we're still gonna put in, the other 5 that we were gonna give them, we're
Put in
gonna
the
put
rainy
the
day.
Rainy day fund.
Okay, so rainy day gets 5, rec gets 5.
Rainy day gets 5, rec gets
What do you want?
That's 5, and then...
Are we doing anything with the 1,500, which we can't do the full 1,500, because now I paid her for 3 months for that 1,500.
Take the balance of what we have left of it and...
I mean, I don't see why we should pay a
it.
stipend once you get an hourly rate to do the same work.
No, right, I agree.
So at least,
All right.
So where
that's my opinion, I mean, everybody disagree with that?
Put
Say
that,
again?
You disagree with that, the account,
she shouldn't have been getting that
Sherry gets a
stipend.
$1,500 stipend to do purchase orders for the rec board. Well, she does them during the time she's here getting her hourly rate. So why would we give her a stipend
But
anymore?
don't we said we were gonna tell her not to do that, that she needs to do it off hours. I thought that we said that, huh? You don't remember having that conversation?
We did say that.
We did say
We
that.
did say that, but I
Yeah.
don't know if it's ever been done. We did say that at one time, we talked about saying she shouldn't be doing that during the hourly time, but as
I
she...
know, but there was never a motion, there was
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
official.
No, nothing official.
And
but
with
we
that
did
being said, I
discuss-
still think she has enough time to do it on her pay time and take that's
I do
right.
too.
And she shouldn't be getting a stipend for it.
Shouldn't be getting, and she can do it on her regular time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I still
Okay,
think,
all right, so we're gonna eliminate that 1,500.
well,
Or with the
minus-
balance,
minus the
yeah.
3.
Do we need a motion for that tonight?
Right, so we're taking that away.
We need a motion for that tonight, right? To do
Yes,
that?
please.
Okay. I mean,
So, I'm just gonna clear, So you're taking away the 1,500 and we're expecting Sherry to do it on her regular hours,
yes.
Which she's doing now.
which she's doing now.
Right.
So I'll make a motion that we eliminate the stipend for the purchase order clerk for the rec committee.
Effective going forward from today.
Today.
And you're confirming, Kathleen, she can do it during her
As of,
regular
I already
hours?
paid March, so
She's doing it during the hours you're paying her for, so yes.
you already submitted it, pay for March, so we're starting effective April 1st.
Okay, so,
Okay.
Looking for a second. I make the motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Okay.
Discussion? Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kenya?
yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Spencer?
Yes.
Marqueta?
Yes.
Marson?
Yes.
Who's going to notify her?
Who's her name? I've already spoken on that.
Oh, okay.
What are you doing with that 1,500, Bob? You're moving it somewhere else, or is
What's
it-
gonna happen?
it's just an expense that's on now?
Well, I'll have to call her tomorrow morning and let her know, you know, that
Fair enough.
Well, why don't we put the balance of that money in the rainy day fund?
we
Do that? No, we already put 5 in there.
5 in there for now.
Wait, there's a lot of rain?
Yeah, there's a lot of ring around here.
Yeah, we got building to build in the back.
Well,
1,500 in parks
you know,
and playgrounds and
since-
landfill then.
since we've come to the, pretty much in what we're doing this year,
Others.
let me ask you questions as for next year. And this is me speaking, I don't let anybody jump in and disagree with me. With the addition of 2 police officers, I don't anticipate an increase in the police department for several years, probably 5, 7, 10 maybe, unless something catastrophic happens.
and just retirements or something.
Well, you know, that would be a
Yeah.
replacement. I don't
Right.
include, I don't anticipate, probably for 5 to 10 years, an increase in personnel there, unless there's something catastrophic. I don't anticipate any hires in DPW for probably 3 to 5 years, unless something crazy happens.
Well, you got 2
Well-
close to retirement.
Do we,
But we'll only be replacing them, actually, it'll probably be a savings, because we're probably hiring
well,
less.
it does depend on how we're gonna maintain that park.
Okay.
So that decision has to be made, whether or not,
Well,
are we gonna
I
continue
think
contract?
that 4th guy came in with anticipation. that he's
Of
gonna have
maintaining
the
that park, yes.
Okay.
So he's gonna be in pretty good shape if he doesn't get the park. If he gets the park, he should still be able to absorb that.
And even if we sub the grass out, you're still gonna have maintenance of that
Yeah, there's
park.
stuff that has to be done there, yeah.
I guess, I don't certainly don't anticipate a second police clerk. How's that gonna look for us for next year, or how's that gonna affect us, I guess, because,
I go into every year trying to make next year's even better. Okay, right now, you're at .06 cents, just in case you wanted to know. So, you're well under 1 cent, you're at .06. There's a theory that if you maximize the amount of revenue you put into your budget, you pull back a little bit from fund balance. Done that to try to make sure that we're not using too much fund balance in any particular year. Because if you don't recover that revenue and you use the max fund balance, you're burning the candle at both ends. You're going to really hurt yourself. So I did pull back from the amount of surplus that you're going to use. Next year, you're going to have $95,000 cut out of your budget like that because you're raising that this year and it's gone. I don't.
Wait, what's that, explain that to me again? Why did it
The
get
legal
cut?
fee.
Oh, the legal fee, yeah. Nice.
one thing that's not in the budget this year that came out of the budget was your municipal court. You paid the judge, you paid him $40,000 out of one line and $14,000 out of another. And now it's just a matter of settling up with Cohat County.
We had a few tax, things, some challenges from, I don't know if we can talk about it in public or not, but, yeah, can we talk about it?
You're talking about this year, they're coming in mad?
Oh, no, we talked about it in the
I talked
past.
to Eloise, and there's
There's
still,
still,
yeah, it's still...
because there may be, we may have to rectify some payments that we took over what, I guess, was
We do
required.
have,
Will be refunded.
Isn't there like 450, 470 in that budget
John, what are you
regardless?
So that's something that may come in future budgets.
Still should go with the penny, do you think, increase?
It doesn't hurt you going forward.
Okay.
Put it that way. Last year, you went up 2 cents, and that helped you for this year, and that 2 cents isn't going away. You're still raising that year after year now. You're gonna keep that going, and now you're at 0.6 of a
Well,
penny.
here's my feeling, if you're at 0.6, you might as well go to a penny.
Penny.
And then I'm hoping that next year we could maybe,
It helps your bottom
yeah,
line.
help us for next year. I'm willing to do that, I mean, that's...
But go to the, I mean, just to put money aside, you mean, not to, you're
No,
not
you're only
looking
gonna
for,
get 4
you're not looking
10%
for more expenses, you want to take that extra money and put it...
Yes, yeah.
Put it in the surplus.
I don't see any
All right,
large hiring or anything.
so you're saying stay with the budget as it is, go up to the penny and take that extra money and put it in a...
We do have a
And I-
rollback coming in.
Is that, that's what you're saying, right?
From what?
From the solar farm, which is gonna offset the loss of the Polaris. It's almost a wash, you know, so we should get about
So answer-
I
60,000.
can get it back up to a penny by restoring some money in police salary and wage. If you don't spend it, then it lapses back to surplus in 2 years.
What about Bonnie, are we getting Bonnie 5,000 more?
What about that, what about that,
We gonna make that motion tonight, or does that have to come under an ordinance, or how is
I
that?
thought you were gonna
I
have,
would do it
what about that
I
capital
thought we were gonna have
improvement?
the attorney,
I'm gonna take the money
Well-
out of the deferred school tax.
let's wait for that, because you can always give her the retro pay, correct? Until we get the attorney to make sure we find out exactly how we have to appoint her and make her permanent, because she's only on a holdover, and I think we have to do it by law, we have to get a collector in, right?
But I think if he said
The
already,
retro's factored.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't say it properly doesn't mean it didn't really happen.
Right.
But, anyway, I guess my point is, why don't we do it all in one night? Make
Yeah,
sure
we
we
can do
get
it all
the
in one night,
appointment,
yeah.
we settle the pay, and we do it all in one night, if that's agreeable. Everybody okay
But
with
for
that?
the budget purpose, I need a... should
I
we
would put the
go-
put the 5,000
Put the
in.
5,000 in.
Now up to 0.7.
Creeping up.
So what I do now with tax...
Well, we saved the 1,500 already, well, 1,200,
Yeah.
so that's 20% of that.
That's the nice thing about with hiring,
So we're taking the 100K from the deferred for the capital improvement? Just so everybody knows, that's what he's,
Yeah.
that's part of his plan.
Yes, yes.
I just got one question, with that property that we might take over next door, is that something we gotta look at? For capital improvement, purchase,
No, that would all be
Well,
part of the capital bond.
And I
That'll be
really
part of
don't
mine.
see that happening before 18 anyway, do you?
No, I wouldn't think so, yeah. That would take a while.
Well, just to,
How
you know,
how soon do you want to get rid of that? I thought they really wanted to...
There's a note here, I gotta call the commander tomorrow about it.
Well, they wanted to get rid of it
Now.
but at
If we could do it
a very
now.
inflated price
Because
now.
if we're gonna bond, if
It's gonna take some
we're gonna bond for other things,
Oh, yeah.
Right,
we
let's
want
go,
to add that in.
yeah, so let's talk about that bond
Yeah.
now. So how much money have you set aside for our deposit? For
In this year's budget,
2017?
I'm taking 100,000 out of deferred school tax and moving it into capital.
Capital, okay. But $1 million, we only need
You only need
50,000.
50,000.
Right.
Yeah, that'll buy you $2 million.
Okay, so we have a 660,000 fire truck? How much is our fire truck?
616, 580.
590,
700,000 for the 2 fire trucks.
590, but he told, what's the 6?
Well, and I thought there was a DPW truck that he wanted too.
20,000 for the, trade-in and the, other thing, the other 10,000 off.
And how much is that, Will? What does it bring down
It
to?
was like 590.
I think at this point, we should go back to Joe, we should go back to Hummer, because Hummer had a list of things and really pinpoint, because, I mean, it's kind of a blow to me, I don't know about you
Okay.
guys. We
Right.
just say, what do you really need, and we gotta firm that up.
I mean, like, what-
You know,
Because Joe's got 2 DPW trucks here for 135,000.
He needs a mason dump.
Mason dump, and then the The F-450 utility body with a small lift crane would replace the 2001 75 and 65, so actually... 135? Yeah.
You got to buy the building, 200,000, 225, they want to make sure of everything.
Now, remember,
We're already over $1 million this
we're
year.
looking good, right? You just asked me how we're gonna look next year. Well, if you start going out and getting debt, you're gonna have debt hit your budget.
Right, and that's,
You're gonna have interest payments. Because my thing is, you're not gonna, if you go up to the 2 million, let's say you did $2 million in projects, and you might throw in $1 million for open space, so you can...
and that comes out
A
of,
long-term serial bond for $3 million, and then it's like a mortgage payment, only pay it twice a year, you know? That's a different kind of bond than a bond anticipation note. A bond anticipation notes roll over every year. So, and after the third year, you have to start addressing principal on that. And come the 10th year, you're gonna have to pay it off because you can't keep rolling forward. So there are different types of bonds out there and vehicles that you can use. If you were gonna do a bunch of projects in the next year and they total $2 to $3 million, that's when you go out and get a serial bond.
and that's what you recommend.
That's permanent financing that you're just gonna address for the next however.
Well,
So you'd be locked into whatever rate you got.
You couldn't, let's say, I know Bill brought up the park, so let's say the park, we wanted to bond the rest of it. You couldn't lump that with another bond because that's got to be paid directly out of open
You
space.
can do it.
Oh, you could?
Yeah.
And you could proportion,
You can bring the
uh,
proceeds in from open space to address that portion.
and you would know what that portion is.
Is
okay?
that a better interest rate, going that route? Then,
Right now, they're about the same. It used to be that the temporary financing, the one-year bonds, were
No,
a
I know.
lot better rates.
Oh,
than the
better?
permanent, right? But now they've come pretty much together, and there is still a...
and can we still, as we got the money from the insurance, use that to
You can
make
still
payments?
put that aside, and that would be your reserve to pay that service fund, sure.
so, one of the reasons why we're thinking of this bonding for the park is that we don't want to completely deplete the open space fund, because we have some other opportunities that they're working on, so,
And the other, and there's one other thing is, this park is going to be benefiting generations, and
right.
we feel that this generation shouldn't be the only one paying for it, and we
So-
spread it over
10 years or
And
whatever.
30 years if we could. I don't know how far we can go with it, but
And the price of the park is coming in higher than what it was.
That's where you get bond counsel in, and they tell you, they determine what's the useful life of the infrastructure, of the buildings, and all that, and that's how they come up to a year of how much payoff you get, how much time you have to pay it off. So I don't know that offhand. Buildings, you might get 30 years, 30-year.
and then we would determine the debt repayment outside of what we can use for the open space fund for, would be something that the budget would have to tackle within the next upcoming years. Anything outside of what the open space can contribute to.
Right, right. See, what will happen is you'll have a contribution from, inside your budget, and then you'll bring a revenue over from the open space tax levy.
Right.
So you'll fund it in two different ways.
Right.
But it'll just be one payment out of your current fund. You're not gonna pay a part here, a part there. You just bring the
And
revenue over. to
so it
make
makes
whole.
sense to lump everything together.
I think so.
Yeah.
If you're talking about these projects that you're doing, I think it makes sense. Because what's gonna happen is if you did everything in 2017, and you did all bond anticipation notes, you only have 10 years to pay it back. So you're talking about, let's hypothetically say it's $2.5 million. You got $2.5 million to pay back in 10 years. It really squeezes you, because you're gonna have to come up with the money and pay these things back.
So that's the other thing.
If you
Can't-
stretch it out over the 25 years, it gives you a little bit of breathing room.
Right.
How much does it hurt future committees, so, if they need to borrow money for something? I mean, I don't
That's a good
necessarily,
question.
I don't necessarily want to hurt somebody 8 years from now either.
Right, no, it's a good
They get
question.
hit with something,
You have one serial bond that's out there now.
Yeah, how much do we have floating out there now in bonds?
I'll just give you your debt limit. You're at 0.27% of what you can borrow. So you have a long way to go before you hit your 100% ceiling.
So we're not even at
You're
1%?
not- No, it's a calculation of your equalized value.
Right.
It's a huge number.
That's how much we can borrow.
Yeah, that's how much you can.
Oh,
borrow.
okay,
So
okay.
Where are you at now?
How much can they afford?
Well,
Well, that's the thing.
yeah.
You know, because again, even though I think some of our hiring stuff is gonna stagnate for 5, 8, maybe 10 years, I think our revenue is stagnated too. No big development.
There's no revenue showing up here at all.
Yeah, the big developments don't need revenue anyway.
No.
But there's no,
Because you have COLA requirements.
there's no big revenue enhancers headed our way
No.
that I could see, so.
At the end of the year, you're at $1,015,000.
That's for the township here.
Yeah, and it's serial bond debt. And that'll be paid off. Uh, 2026, that'll be fully paid off.
That's still a long time, though, yeah.
10 years.
You're
8, 9.
addressing 60,000 a year until 19, and then you address 80,000 a year the rest of the way.
That's not much.
So,
It's a penny.
I guess I ask you, you're the guys, I mean, do you think if we did $2 million, and we think we're putting anybody in jeopardy in 8, 10, 12 years?
No, because you're spreading it out. If you did 2 million...
Won't be an irresponsible move, I guess, is what I'm
If you did
basically
over 10 years,
saying, yeah.
you're gonna be-
That's a big chunk that we gotta pay
You're
back.
gonna be paying $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
So a tax point is 58,000.
How
So almost four.
how many years can we go to? What's the maximum amount of years we could go to?
It's
It depends on
an
the-
average of all the things you're bonding for. So if you throw
Fire
trucks
truck.
in there, a fire truck has a longer useful life, dump trucks, buildings, they average all of those useful lives, and they tell you you can bond over X
Park,
amount
would the
of
park be part of that equation or not?
Yeah.
years. I like all the infrastructure in the park and...
You gotta tell the top,
Can
yeah,
we
what's the max amount, what do you think we could get up to, how many years? Or the
Probably
minimum?
2025, I
Say
think.
25 to 30 years.
25 to 30 years.
Here's my,
Here's another
I'm not
question.
bond counsel.
here's another question then.
I'm not quoting you.
Let's say you went 2 million, 25 years, whatever. That fire truck, you know you're gonna have to buy another fire truck.
Before you pay for that one,
Before you're
right?
gonna pay for
Right.
that one. So,
It's weighted average, though. You might still be paying, if I had a credit card from college, I'd still be paying off the cheeseburger I ate.
Right.
I'm still gonna buy another cheeseburger,
Okay.
you know what I mean? But the weighted average, you can think in your mind that, the fire truck was only a 15-year thing.
Right.
So 15 years, that's paid off, even though the whole bond itself isn't.
Yeah, that bond's coming
well, I
back.
mean, I'm just,
25 years, well, I'm not holding you to
No,
this.
go ahead.
25 years, $2 million bond, what's the debt service every year? Rough, very rough.
Well, it's 2 million divided by 25, and then just we'll
Yeah,
throw a couple of bucks on for interest. You know?
well, let's call it 2.5 million at 25 years,
240.
100,000 a year, and interest, 140, 150,000.
plus the 60 we got for the next 9
But you're
years.
bringing in part of that from open
200.
space.
Right, that's
40
true.
open space, and say 100,000 a year, so you're
That's a 2 cent, that's 2 cents right there.
2 cents would be 120, yeah, you're
Yeah,
2.5.
But we're gonna gain a penny or two from the police officers running all those tickets.
No, that's still a tough nut.
What's that?
That's a 2 cent increase without doing anything.
That's why it's really important to have a capital plan put together and say, this is exactly what we're gonna need. All right, when it comes to vehicles, you can't serial bond cars, but you can serial bond or bond for specialized police vehicles, so any four-wheel
I
drive.
think that's what he's doing this time, going,
Great.
he put it,
Well, that's his request, right.
he put it for 3?
Yeah.
Now, what about the roads?
Yeah,
Did
you gotta
Pinelli put
stop.
anything in for,
Put 250.
you put 250 in, so 250 of that,
And that's coming in from,
Oh, yeah, I think so. We'll go through the line item.
there's the other route we can go.
hold on, guys.
We gotta get through.
All right, here's the other route we can go. You have, and again, I caution you to do this, but it's an option, I gotta tell you your option. You have $3 million of deferred school tax that is sitting out there.
It's a one-time payment, too.
But again, that benefits the now and other generations that live here and use it into your thinking aren't paying for it, you know, because you're taking that now, all right? If you come into a bind in 2020, something happens again, and
Yeah, I don't know if I want to touch that.
and you have no deferred.
I don't know, I don't know.
So,
How much you said we have, how much is left in there?
$3
We can
$3
use?
million.
$3 million.
You're taking
We
$250.
take some out of it.
You're
How do you
taking
take some?
$350 out of
Yeah.
it. You're taking $350 out this year. So, $2 million.
I thought we were taking 100 out this
You're
year.
taking 100 out and 250 for the roads. We're still taking 250 out for roads for what, 3 more years? I think?
understand how that works yet?
Oh, I know how it
I'm
works.
confused
I
on
know how it works, but once it's gone, it's gone.
The budget was reviewed by the state last year, and it made it through, so don't worry about it.
No, I know how it works. The problem with this
And you're getting
is,
reviewed again this year because of the turnover that you had on the committee and all kinds of stuff. They said you have to get a state review again this year. So,
That's great.
We'd like to
yeah,
do
it
that.
is.
Well, it's more work for you maybe,
We don't
but,
need
yeah.
it, don't wrap it. Sorry.
Okay, so, where are we at here? Are we still gonna need one more meeting, I guess, to go through some nitty-gritty, maybe, Cut?
Are we?
I think so, right?
Well, at this point,
I mean, if these guys are asking, are we gonna do all 3 police cars after, you wanna go through that tonight, you wanna have
well,
one
that's a
meeting?
different meeting. I think we need a
No,
capital
I
meeting, don't we?
think, I think on the 2 weeks from tonight, is there a regular meeting?
Yeah.
I think we can wrap up capital 2 weeks from tonight.
You put
We
the
can talk to them.
$100,000 in, you're covered for up to borrowing $2
do you
million.
see yourselves doing more than 2 million? Because we could get this ready to intro.
Oh, we don't have the bids from the park yet.
Yeah, but if you're gonna, what we're saying is if
Yeah.
you're gonna, if you
That's
know
your
you're gonna
down
bond
payment.
for it, we've got the money for the down payment on the bond.
Yeah, I think we need to have a meeting. There's a lot to discuss.
What do you think?
Is there any rush to get it done tonight? I mean,
You shouldn't.
We don't even know how much you're gonna buy.
We don't know how much
They
we-
want you to intro by
Well, but-
March 27th for the first meeting.
If I'm understanding right, what they're saying is, let's apply for the home equity now, get the approval, we just, you're,
And then
it's kind of like,
you have to-
then we
spend the
know,
money
it's
later.
like going to the bank saying, I want a home equity loan up to $2 million bucks. I don't know if I'm gonna use it all yet. That's basically, right?
100,000 gives you that flexibility.
100,000 is that flexible, that's what I'm saying, you understand that?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Alright. But we do need
We'll
a,
meet again before we do it.
Yeah,
That's
that's
fine.
no, but we do need a capital meeting, just on capital.
can't we do that at a regular meeting?
I don't know, can we?
Well, here,
I
How much,
mean,
how much more
It's gonna take a
capital do you
long,
need?
I mean.
no, to determine what our capital needs are. Like, do we wanna get all the trucks? Do we wanna get all the
Well,
police
you know what,
cars?
that's
Do we
what I'm-
wanna put money aside
No.
to fix this building?
Yeah,
Because you don't wanna bond again, right? And how much do we wanna put aside for the park? If you're gonna go out for bond, we need some good numbers. We need to know
Yeah,
what we
I
need
don't
to
think
bond
we
for.
can.
They're only asking for the approval to put the
No,
100,000.
I'm not talking about that. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, we're gonna need a meeting.
We
If we're
might need
gonna-
more if we're gonna go with that building.
Exactly.
So that
I'll make
100,000 might not be
call.
enough.
What- And, I mean, I think with the vehicles, if we're gonna bond, I think we might as well bite the bullet. But here's my only concern on that is, you're buying three vehicles in 1 year, in 3 years, we're gonna run into the same problem. Again. We
Well,
got
let me
3
give you one
vehicles.
more option, if you're saying that might not be enough, okay? For 2017 purposes, you put the 100,000 aside, right?
Okay.
You go out and you borrow, and you know that you're gonna have to do something else in 2018 as well. You don't get your serial bond in 2017, you do the 1-year note. When the 1-year note comes due, you have
Refinance
another
it.
note that's out there, you'll lump them into a serial bond and do it at that point.
So you-
So you can put the 100,000 in, start doing projects after the budget's introduced and all that, or adopted, and you can get a certain amount of things done through a bond anticipation note, or a bond anticipation notes, if you do one for the fire truck, if you do one for open space, if you do another one for a building, whatever. As long as you have the down payment money, you're good to go. And then next year, we can roll all of those bond anticipation notes into one serial bond and pay it out over the next 25 years or whatever, wherever we're at that point. There are options out there. I mean, you just need down payment money. That's the key that we gotta get into the budget.
So we just need $100,000 in a down payment account, basically, to cover us for up to $2 million in
Where are you
loans
getting that? That's
of
coming from
anticipated
the
loans that we
also?
could do.
That's what he took.
No.
Took it out of the fund.
That was the 100 that you're talking about.
And I know, and again, timing-wise here, Joe last year had said part of the problem we had with road repair last year is he didn't know how much he could spend and put out for bids and this and that, because it wasn't really ready until June, and then you were well into everybody's season. If he has an extra 45, 50 days here,
It's not Joe doing it, it's
well, Mike or Kathleen or whoever's doing it, if we get that numbers out there earlier, we're not trying to blacktop roads in November. You know, we might be doing them in August and September. And last year it became a problem.
So obviously, we need, either we do it in a regular meeting, or...
So we need to go through the
Capital, you need to go to the
Right,
capital.
but that doesn't have really anything to do with,
No, she could go ahead with the budget.
you can go ahead with the budget is what we're thinking, right?
Right.
Unless you're gonna come back and say we
We
need
didn't-
200,000 and...
We don't know that.
We don't know.
Wait.
That would be for $4 million, right?
That's what I'm saying, I think we need to have that meeting pretty quick.
What about, how's 200 would be for $4 million, right? That raises up the possible potential of $4 million, right?
No, we're not gonna go. No, we're not gonna go.
$3 million would be 150,000. So we're not gonna go.
We're not gonna go, I don't,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it might be 2.2 million or something like that.
listen, in my,
Like I said, it's just a phone call to add it back in the budget. They just want to get the budget ready.
but you can't get that phone call until that brings me back to my point.
So
We need a capital project
Kim,
meeting.
who has the building next Thursday?
Next Thursday will be land use, isn't it?
I have a meeting that night.
What about, what days are on, any day but Wednesday for me?
Monday and Tuesday, something,
Monday, we're at the school board meeting.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
school board
Monday,
Monday.
we'll be away at a conference on Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. So, well, let's get that, once we get that squared away, then I want the police chief here, and we want the DPW supervisor here to go through.
Finale,
I don't want Mike here about the park,
We're a finale here for the park.
so
Wednesday.
is Wednesday good? So I'm good.
No, I can't make it Wednesday.
That brings us to Friday or Saturday.
May happen.
How about the following Monday?
I don't mind a Saturday morning at 8 again, but
I don't mind it either.
Saturday 11th at 8?
I'm okay with it.
It has to be real early, I got a commitment.
Is 8 o'clock okay?
That's St.
You
Patrick's.
never show up on fire.
What time do you have to leave?
You gotta wake me up, you know?
Saturday before St. Patrick's Day, it's always the St.
He's just a phone call away.
You drinking that early? 8
Oh,
o'clock in
no,
the
we
morning?
started at 8, we can be done by
Oh, the 11th?
10?
Oh, okay.
You're down the
Well,
shore?
then the 11th is that. You can't.
How about the 13th then? That brings us to the
I was
Monday,
thinking the 17th when you said St. Patty's Day.
that brings us to Monday the 13th. And then we have a
Monday
TC,
the 13th will not be good for me.
we have a
gotta work.
TC meeting on the 16th.
How can we just do it before our regular meeting,
What do you mean?
the 17th?
That's
What do you
okay with
mean?
me,
No, the
but I can't
16th is
see
our
us go to
next
a CAT meeting in
town
an
committee
hour.
meeting. You want to do
Yeah, I think
it
an
when?
hour's pushing it.
Can we do an hour earlier?
An hour's pushing it.
Can we say an executive session?
Or, well, I was gonna say, or you have your regular town meeting and we fire it out, hammer it out after the meeting. You know, even if you're here till 11.
You mean that night after?
That night, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, you think it's gonna be a big agenda? What do we got going on?
Really quick stuff on the agenda.
All right, we could do it then.
Needs action.
Let's plan on doing it at the regular
The
meeting.
16th.
I'd rather spend one day 5 hours and
Yeah.
get
Okay,
2 or 3
fine with
days
me.
out of it.
Right.
So Kim, on the agenda, we definitely need, Bonnie's thing.
Can we get, should we get the bond attorney to come?
I have that.
She should, right?
And
Notify the chief, DPW, that they
I
gotta be
don't
here
know,
for
talk to
that?
John, when is that necessary? that we
And
need-
finale.
Then we got Kathleen.
We don't need it at this point until we get a number?
Yeah, vice knows.
30 years, put it that. And that's-
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that should be 10 minutes.
What's that?
We got the rice notice that night, but that should be, I don't think that should
Oh,
be-
that's quick,
That's quick, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And what about this police, is this contract done? What's going on with this?
Yeah, it's, I think it's right, well, I would say, there's only,
Yeah.
really not even a contention, the two lawyers are out to just work, we're in agreement on what we want, it's just the attorneys figuring out how to word it.
I have one more thing, I almost forgot. I
Here it
talked
comes.
to Chief Hummer the other night. He is looking to, or he wants what the state refers to as a P card. It's basically like a credit card,
Okay.
but with a P card that does have restrictions. I'm not a big fan.
But what do you use the P card for? What is
To
it?
buy things, yeah, to buy, he wants to buy things online that they're saying that they won't take like a purchase order and he doesn't have to use his own credit card, which I understand. So that would require your approval, we'd have to do the paperwork to get that
No,
going.
you're against it, what do you recommend on it?
I don't like any kind of credit cards, but they are a vehicle that the state of New Jersey allows, so.
It's something you're gonna be able to audit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
How much work is it for you? I mean,
We're
Which was-
doing it now up in Alamucci, and it's just a matter of, it comes like a regular statement. So when the statement comes, then I post that to his budget. I believe when you set it up, you get to say how much you want to be able to be authorized.
Right.
you get a special interest rate on it because of what type of card?
no, hopefully you
Oh,
pay it off
it's a paid off each month, then.
Think of it as a credit card.
Well,
The credit
all
card
my,
that you have to
I
pay
pay
off.
all my credit cards off each month. Okay.
And I was informed that the police have a petty cash account, which none of us knew about. Apparently it has $5 in it. It used to be $100. We don't know how long that $5 has been sitting there. There's no receipts showing where the other 95 went.
What do they need to pay?
To buy things like run to the store.
Ordered 2 pizzas
Yeah.
on a big night when they had the bust.
Well, if you got somebody in here under arrest, you gotta...
Yeah, no, right, right.
So I guess the two questions is, how do we limit the 95, and then we have to
I
replenish the
said,
95,
John
right?
and I talked about this earlier, I'm basically, and it's under Guzzo's name, so we're going to do a,
Tell guys what it
get
is,
rid of
it's
that.
95.
Yeah, tell 'em.
We're gonna start a new one.
You're gonna take the $5 in that they're holding on to down there.
Wouldn't it just be better to have the patrolman go out and charge it on his card or something and turn in a receipt?
I wouldn't, I mean, that's how I would do it.
No, I thought,
You know, I don't know
isn't,
everybody's personal credit
isn't-
card situation,
Yeah,
so.
I'd avoid it.
petty cash isn't for like reports or something like that?
Well,
or-
it's obviously for business purposes, they shouldn't be buying food with it.
Right, because-
And I don't know that there, I just threw that out.
No, that would be legitimate, no, because if you have somebody in custody, you gotta feed them.
Since when?
After, if you're gonna have them here for 6, 8 hours, and with this bail reform, you might be doing it more than you think.
They have to understand,
Yeah.
though, that they have got to have receipts, that if they spend $85, I have to have $85 in receipts,
Well-
they can't lose them, they can't misplace them, I have to
And
have.
then, let's say they use the $85 today, and then tomorrow they have another arrest, and oh my God, I only got $15 in here, but I just ordered from Frank's,
Well, that's
and it's
why
$37.
I would,
Where are they gonna get the money from?
We're gonna go higher.
I suggest like a $500 paycheck.
Or you hope one of the guys is willing to use his credit card and then reimburse it. I mean, I bought a lot of food on,
Why can't they
my
just buy
credit
and
card
slip
or
the
my
receipt?
money, but... Huh?
And then is the
Fine,
money
it's
locked
with the
up somewhere? Who has care, custody, and control of that $500?
Apply it with water.
They're on mine.
But he leaves at 4 o'clock.
Submit the
Then who
receipt.
has it?
You're done with it, why do we need a petty cash fund?
That's on them, all that I can say is, I need receipts that prove what they spent.
Right.
I mean, what are they spending it on?
I can't foresee him really, well, you know what? I'll talk to him about that, too, but I want to go over what his cap is before we come
Yeah,
back.
'cause why do they need a petty cash fund? I don't understand that, for food?
In the business world, we get an American Express card from our employer. So why can't we
start
get...
that?
Why can't we give the chief, the lieutenant, and whoever else is the other supervisors, all 3 shifts, at least there's a card out there?
No.
Okay.
You'd be better off with the 100 or 500.
But again, why do we have a petty cash fund?
You said because you have
Why?
to feed a prisoner.
No, you feed a prisoner, you take him to the county jail within 2 hours unless there's
Uh-huh.
no
Well,
valid cause for it.
apparently that last episode, they were sitting here for 6 hours.
So what if you're here,
Yeah.
what if you're here for 9 hours interviewing people, and you got witnesses here and stuff, and they're hungry, you're not gonna feed them?
Or if they go, like, to go buy film.
Listen, it doesn't matter as
All
long
I
as
can
you're,
say is,
You're
I
dating
bought
yourself.
a lot of food.
as long as you're getting receipts and they can prove it's a need.
In an investigation.
It's not like,
Why not?
Whatever's easiest.
I never got reimbursed for it, but I bought a lot of food.
listen, they have to
I got
provide a
reimbursed when I
receipt.
went
They
down and
have
lost
to
money,
prove-
a lot of
I'm
money.
gonna prep
You got a
the P-card
expense account.
paperwork then, and I'm gonna prep the new resolution creating the new petty cash fund.
And the resolution passed on the one that we have.
Now, do we have to specify what type of things it can be used for? I mean, do we have to just limit
As long as
that?
the receipt is, I mean,
Well-
then she would pick, if it was an inappropriate expense, she would pick it up, and then we'd address it.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Well, I'm gonna ask him what he's really gonna need it for, and then I'll come up with a dollar amount. You're saying maximum 500, right?
Maximum
Okay. Before we end the meeting, are you done with everything? Yeah.
Am I talking too much?
No, I don't want you to stop. It looked like you were closing up here. Looks like you were ending.
No,
You want to be at 170.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
You let me know when you're done.
I'm done.
All right.
What, Frank? What's a penny on a $300,000 house? $27, something like that?
Tax to the average
30 cents.
taxpayer.
Almost 54. Is it 277, it's 54.
Yeah, what else?
Average local taxpayer is going to see an increase of $27 for the year.
That was right.
$2.24 for the month.
Okay. All right, so I just wanted to clarify.
And if we can get all that equipment,
Because I don't know what me and Paul are supposed to do.
Oh.
I just want to just clarify.
With the zoning?
Yeah. Are we going to send it to, because I'd like to send it
To John, for the,
to John and then see if we need to adjust the zoning, if the zoning
and
is...
John can also research and make sure there's nothing already on the...
No, right, exactly.
All right,
John,
let's
we'll
go with
already
John
know,
first.
right?
Is that-
John first.
all right.
John's out of town till next Tuesday.
Okay. All right.
Are we
Fine,
gonna-
that's
Is this
fine.
gonna be
Does
for
everybody
all,
understand that?
Yeah.
all sites?
Well, it's gonna happen, yeah, it's, yeah, you're not, you're not,
Even construction, even everything?
well,
what do you mean construction?
What do you mean?
You store construction equipment and
Well,
construction
if they're doing like the park, he's gonna leave it.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, if we're gonna do a
I'm not
north,
saying we're going to do anything. We just want to know what the ordinance says right now.
that's all, yeah.
We'll decide together if we think it's good enough or not. Now, don't worry about it yet. But let's just see what it says. I don't even know what it says. That's all we're
Do
looking
you have
for now.
anything to ask us to say or do or care?
Oh, and one other thing on the park.
What's that?
Oh, you-
So you had asked the pavilion, and so I was texting Mike about the whole thing, the pavilion. And so originally, just to clarify, why they wanted an architect. I know, Bill, you wanted a real nice pavilion at one time.
Well, we're still gonna get a nice pavilion.
All right, well, you want rock.
We're still gonna get the rock on there.
Not if it's a
I'm gonna look at the cinder
prefab.
block.
Listen, not if it's a prefab, just so
Well,
you know.
absolutely, they can put the stucco on a prefab.
All right, well, that was the thought, why? Because they thought that the specs from the Open Space Committee wouldn't be satisfied by a prefab. That was the thought of the Open Space Committee. That's why they want to go to an
You mean for the
architect.
bathroom and stuff too?
Yeah, yeah.
Those are pretty nice.
I'm with you, I agree with
I
you.
may actually have some brochures at home. If I do, I'll call you and I'll give them.
I'm just telling you the thought behind it. I actually agree with the committee. I think you should look at the prefab.
Because we were impressed. I forgot all about that.
And to be honest, I just actually tossed that brochure today.
Yeah.
I was going through my pile.
I think I still
Wait a
have it.
I just wanted to give you the background as to
When I'm bored,
why.
I look at pictures
Put that
of
stonework on
outhouses.
I don't know. But Mike already knows. He's already going to start looking at prefabs and get examples. Just so you know that, all right?
Okay, anything else? Kim, anything else?
Oh, yes, they have the run coming up, PTO has that 5K run.
Oh, in June, yeah.
Yes,
That Roy, who's that for, Roy, something?
Is that the word?
No, that's a private one. They're talking about
This
the
is the
Stinger
Stinger.
podcast.
Stinger,
So
okay.
Stinger.
sprint, the PTO is going to be, doing this, and they're going to be coming to the, I believe, the March meeting, Danielle said, just to fill in the committee and, what's going on. But they handed in the 50/50 raffle. They didn't do that last year, but they want to do a 50/50 raffle the day of the event. So I have to have the committee just approve.
Tonight or the next
Just
week?
to have
Right?
this, so I can get it in. so
Oh,
they can
okay,
have
yeah.
So what's the motion then?
so they'll sell, it's the proceeds to the PTO. Just a motion to approve this PTO 50/50 raffle.
So I'll make the motion to approve the 50/50 raffle for the Greenwich Township PTO. For the upcoming Stinger,
5K.
5K Stinger.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Roll call?
yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Spencer?
Yeah.
Marqueta?
Yes.
And Mark.
Yes.
And also, I did
So
say
you're
this
done?
meeting, Kathleen and I will be out of the, I just want to tell everybody, you already know.
Yeah.
We'll be out Monday and Tuesday at a conference in Atlantic City or whatever, so the building is going to be open till 1 o'clock on both of those days. Sign on the door, the building will be shut in the afternoon. So,
Kim, don't forget to get me a key for the zoning office for that night.
yeah, I'll get that.
We had a joint meeting.
Enjoy. And now,
Oh, and who's all going, I guess, Monday night to the school board
I'll be
meeting?
there.
I advertised,
I
it.
put the seat.
I didn't put specific, I just put that the majority of the membership of the Greenwich Township Committee would be attending. So this way,
And one other thing,
3 or more, whatever.
does everybody have the 30th on the calendar for the joint meeting? We had spoke about this in our
What
last
name
meeting.
appeal?
OS committee and town
Oh.
committee.
March 30th?
Yep. The OS committee, yeah, we had booked it in our last meeting. So I'm just reminding everybody.
You reminded me, because I didn't have it.
Yeah, I didn't write it
Oh,
down.
no,
Did you have
I
it?
didn't think it was confirmed yet, but okay.
Well,
it's 7 o'clock?
you got it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has it. We
7
brought it up
o'clock.
last meeting, so I just want to confirm it.
3:30. Oh, I have to advertise. At 7 PM?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't do it every time. I had it at 8 o'clock. I don't know why, but I said these things fun people.